The college football playoff predictions. These are not mine, by the way. These are their predictions. Let's look at them. Okay. So, number 2, Clemson versus number 3, Ohio State. Okay. Number 1, Alabama versus number 4, Washington. This is literally something stupid. Wait, did you people say Georgia was going to win the SEC this year? You favored the Georgia Bulldogs to win the SEC? And now you're telling me that if Alabama gets there, back in the college football playoffs, but they should have never made it last year. All because Wisconsin lost. But you're telling me a number 1 seed, Alabama, that doesn't win a conference, and this has gone long enough. This has gone long enough. I'm so sick of people picking the SEC. Okay? It is sickening. It sickens me. You know what's so bogus about this also? The Buckeyes. They're a good team, but they've been a disappointment for the last 3 sneaking years. The last 3 years. Didn't make it the first out of the 3 years. They made the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, and they crushed Notre Dame. If you people do remember that game as much as I do, since I have like no life. Well, no, I do have a life, but yeah, okay. I mean, but then the next year, y'all made Notre Dame and go to the conference, and that's when people got mad, saying, Why does this team make the college football playoffs, but yeah, they didn't win their conference? And that's when the debates start coming in. Like, oh, hey, I guess we should now add teams that don't win their conference make it in. That's so dumb. It really is. Let's be for real. Washington had a better record than Ohio State, but yeah, they put them at 4, not at 3. To me, it should have been reversed. And then all of a sudden, people were saying about Ohio State, they got the best defensive line in the league. They're better than those. Their defense will be better than the 2000 Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl. And you lost 2. You didn't make the college football playoffs. You may have won your conference, but let's be for real. Wisconsin, to me, should have still made it. Alabama, at this point, also, I don't know what to expect. Because if they somehow, and I do mean it, if they somehow don't win their conference and are a number 1 seed, but yet you made them a number 4 seed last season, not winning their conference. Here's a good question. If Ohio State didn't win their conference, they were a number 3 seed. Alabama didn't win his conference last year, and they were number 4 seed. Does that mean that that Alabama team was better than, not Alabama, that Ohio State team that year when they didn't win their conference but made the college football playoffs is better than the Alabama team that we had last year? I guess so. I guess seeding sometimes does matter. And then we got Clemson. I like Clemson. Don't get me wrong about Clemson. The way they play football is so great. But honestly, I don't think they'll make it. I personally don't think they'll make it. Because Florida is going to get their quarterback back. They got Mr. Willie Taggart, who's a traitor to the Ducks organization, in there. And I think he will make Florida State a better team. I personally do. Then we got Washington. As a Duck fan, I'm glad to see there's a Pac-12 team in there. Even though I don't like the Huskies. But you know what? I'm glad there's a Pac-12 team. Anything to help the Northwest win some championships. Washington, the only way that Washington can make the college football playoffs, it's the Auburn game. If they can beat Auburn, they can go undefeated, and they can go to the college football playoffs. And you know what? Let's be for real about this. They should have never lost to Arizona last year. Arizona State, I mean. And if they never did, they probably wouldn't make it. But really, the only way Washington's going to make the college football playoffs if they beat Auburn and have an undefeated season. One loss, I do mean one loss, they won't put in a Northwest team because they only focus about the SEC, the ACC, the Big 10, the Big 12, not the Pac-12. And yet, let's be for real. Well, Pac-12 sometimes is sometimes the better conference than the Big 12. It's been actually going back and forth a lot. So, like I said, if Washington does not lose to Auburn, I think they can win the rest of their games. Okay, let's look at the other bowl schedules. Okay, let's look at the... Come on, let me see. Thank you. Hate phones. Yes, I'm using my phone. The New Year's Six Bowls. The Sugar Bowl will have a rematch of Oklahoma versus Georgia. We'll have a rematch of that. Then Wisconsin versus USC. Man, we haven't... I think it was the last time these guys ever played each other in, like... Oh, yeah. I remember the last time they played against each other in a bowl game. I think it was the... San Diego Bowl, I believe it was called. And Wisconsin finally beats USC after going 0-9 against them all time. That was a good game. I believe it was called San Diego Bowl. I can't remember what that bowl was. You have to leave down a comment last time they played. Now, Miami versus Auburn. Okay. Then Boise State versus Penn State. You know it will be so bogus. And every year, Boise State every year has been offered to go to the Pac-12. Every year. But they don't want to. You know what would be so dumb? If Alabama had 2 losses this year. Let's say they get 2 losses. And yet they make the college football playoffs. But yet Boise State that to me is going to go undefeated all the way. Doesn't. It's because it's the SEC and they don't care about small conferences. They're just scared to let Boise State play against teams like them. All right, let's look at these other bowl games. Michigan versus Mississippi State. Okay, Michigan State. Oh, did I say Michigan State earlier? If I did, sorry. I meant Michigan. You probably know that. Michigan State versus LSU. Okay. Nebraska versus Florida. The Florida Gators. The Florida stinking Gators that had a disappointing season. I expect them to have more of a disappointed season. Iowa versus Stanford. Iowa's going to have a disappointing season as well. West Virginia versus Arkansas. We'll see about that one. Navy versus Duke. Okay. Where are my Ducks? Where are the Oregon Ducks? That's all I care about. Okay. Louisville versus Arizona. Okay. Florida State versus Missouri. Florida State to me will be in the New Year's Six Bowls. I personally do believe that. Oh, hey, finally, we got the Ducks. Texas versus Oregon. Well, you know what? Those Longhorns, last time we played them, they got crushed. I think we're actually 2-0 against them. We're 3-0 all time. I could be wrong, but Georgia versus, Wyoming versus Georgia Southern. Okay. Notre Dame versus TCU. Okay. Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. Okay. Oklahoma State versus Texas A&M. All right. Next. Next. NC State versus Minnesota. Okay. Southern Miss versus Kansas State. Okay. Iowa State versus Cal. Syracuse versus Purdue. Texas Tech versus North Texas. You know, the heart of Dallas. You know, since they like to put in 2 Dallas teams against each other, like, every single time. I don't know why. Northwestern versus Utah. UAB versus Utah State. NIU versus ULM. Houston versus Baylor. UCF, which I do expect UCF to have, once again, a good season. I really do. Versus Kentucky. Buffalo versus UNLV. Marshall versus Toledo. USF versus Wake Forest. Oh, we got more down here. SMU versus Ohio. Memphis versus FAU. LA Tech versus Arkansas State. Oh, wow. These bowl games, they sound somewhat reasonable, actually. And today, MU versus Troy. EMU versus Troy. San Diego State versus Washington State. Washington State's not even gonna make a bowl game. I'm sorry to tell you, but you're probably doing some crack if you're thinking of that. Temple versus Appalachian State. Okay. MTSU versus Fresno State. Wow, you know, these bowl games, I swear, if this happens again, if this does happen again, well, let's go back to the first one. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize I actually got there. I'm sorry. This, to me, would be so stupid. It would be so stupid if once again, you know what would be so bogus? If Washington didn't win its conference championship, and yet they have a good record. And yet Clemson makes it, or Alabama makes it, Ohio State makes it. But yet you don't let a Pac-12 team make it. That, to me, would be so unfair. And you would probably let a Big 12 team with 2 losses in it, or a same conference team. That, to me, just would make no sense. It would make no sense whatsoever if that happens. Well, I guess that's how we wrap this up. What do you guys think? Do you think this is accurate? Because to me, it is not. This, to me, is so not accurate of the top 4 making the playoffs. I mean, there's only one I could agree with. Probably Washington. I'd probably most likely agree with Washington. The Washington one, I most definitely agree. I mean, I know what you're thinking, but you're a Duck fan, you say. Yes, only way Oregon can make it if they stay healthy all year. That's the only way they can make it. If they don't stay healthy, then they don't have a shot at anything. Leave a comment down below. Do they get this right? What's your prediction as well for college football? Because it's almost here. It comes back August 31st. Can't wait. Like I said, leave a comment down below. Hit that like button. Share this with your friends. And subscribe for me for more videos like this one. This is TGT Tank Mode. Signing out.